What's up, guys? Welcome to the Big Machine Spike Coolers Grand Prix. IndyCar is back at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway today. Could not be more excited for this. I'm joined by the best IndyCar commentator in the business, Jim Kern. My dad, how you doing?
There you go. Not bad for a rookie.
Not bad for you. You've crushed. The people like you.
Yeah. Hey, it's natural. It comes natural. So,
You study it all. You study it all the time. So we appreciate that. The input's great. So, I mean, we just got back. It's weird having a race today because we look at the schedule. There was a month off before Music City. Music City just ended. I feel like we just got back from Nashville, and now we're already racing again because NASCAR gets the premier spot on Sunday. What's up with that? It's Rogers track, and NASCAR gets the premier spot.
Well, you know, they went from the Brickyard 400, which was an oval race, to going and eliminating the oval race and just going with a doubleheader weekend on the road course. So it should be pretty exciting, but I think a lot of the drivers are going to miss actually going around the oval for the 400 that they've been doing for the last 20 years. So
there's no Brickyard 400 in NASCAR this year?
No, just the road course. So.
Well, it should be a great weekend to race, and it'd be a fun one to go to. We were talking to the Penske sales guys doing the merch out in Nashville. We saw them at the Indy 500, and they were like, "Oh, you should come to Indy next week for the race." We're like, "We can't do it," but it would have been a fun weekend to see.
Yeah, it would have been good. It would have been good. It came up on us quick, you know.
Oh, it did.
So
yeah,
you had a race on Sunday, and then you have another race on Saturday. So those guys had to hustle from Nashville to Indy to get ready. So.
Now, when you think about that, I mean, Nashville was a strenuous race course. No doubt we're going to recap it here in a minute, but just right away, I mean, those guys must be sore from driving on that course, the bumps, everything. How do you think that's going to play into this weekend, having to go on a Sunday race and then racing on a Saturday? I mean, this track's going to be a lot more smooth than Nashville, obviously, but they got to be tired.
Yeah, I would say so. You know, you had some interesting things. There were a couple crashes, a couple surprises, obviously, as we recap it. But you're going from a really hot day in Nashville with a really physical course, and both mentally and physically challenging. This is a little bit more wide open. It's more like a F1 road course. So I think it's going to be a welcome drive. Definitely a lot smoother. Nashville was extremely rough on the cars and the drivers.
Yeah, it was cool watching them go down the front straight in qualifying yesterday because it's like, all right, I can't wait for the Indy 500 again. I mean, that's just hallowed ground at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So very excited for today's race. Green flag is set to wave at 12:30. Before we get into that, though, let's start breaking down the Music City Grand Prix. This race was awesome. It wasn't just a race. They were calling it like it was Monaco. They were saying it's the next Monaco because of the festival, the racing, the trucks. Can we talk about Max Gordon for a minute before we even talk about the IndyCar? I mean, a 13-year-old driving trucks.
Amazing. Just absolutely amazing, especially when you see how tall he was, which he's not. He's very short. But for him being 13 years old, they call him Mad Max already. Look for really good things for him going in the future. Who knows what Rudy's going to get, but he can sling around a 3,000-pound truck and compete with the big guys. It's quite amazing. So, I mean, the kid's basically, he's not even in puberty yet. So it's hard to say how he's going to do when he gets a little older, but quite amazing.
The fans love him. And I caught a hat during that trophy celebration, right? That was the one.
Yeah, you did, a Motul hat. But the other thing with Max is, he comes from good driver stock. Obviously, his dad, Robbie Gordon, multiple winner, both NASCAR, IndyCar, off-road, quite impressive. But definitely the genes are there for Mad Max. So look for Max Gordon to be in some kind of big series, and really young. He's going to be like another Colton Herta.
Yeah, and I love Colin Herta, so that'll be good for me. So we got down to Nashville on Friday. We missed the Friday practice and all that. We went Saturday. Saturday was qualifying. Colton Herta was just dominant all weekend. That was the storyline going into Sunday. I mean, nobody could keep up with Colton Herta. Sadly, he did not end up on the podium in the big race, but in qualifying, you must have been impressed by him.
Yeah, he was amazing. I mean, obviously he was dialed in. The car was working right. He was fast out of the hauler. And the other thing is the course was challenging, and more challenging than the St. Petersburg course that he won in. So obviously he likes temporary street circuits. But I think rookie mistakes ultimately got him in the end. But not rookie mistakes, but young guy mistakes. So it was impressive to watch. He is amazing. I mean, 21, 22 years old. So, look for big things for Colton, but
Now
not this weekend.
no. Oh, he did qualify fifth.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I
Well,
think he's gonna have a good. I think he bounces back this weekend. I saw a post on
yeah.
his Instagram. He said, "You know what? I let people down. He's going to bounce back. Lock him up on PointsBet Sportsbook. That's what you need to know." All
Well, he
right,
had a little bit of a hangover in practice. He was like really down in the grid, 26, 27th,
but
I
then he
think.
comes back and gets in fifth.
He does. He does. Yeah. So, yeah, impressive. Impressive.
Very impressive. You just don't like Colin Herta.
No, I
You
like
hate
him. I
you
like
hate
him.
Colin Herta.
I don't hate
Uh,
Cole. I don't hate any driver. I respect them all.
Yeah, I mean, Colin Herta, he's got balls, and just to see what he did. Now, the coolest video that we saw actually was when we got home and we're on Instagram. I was on Instagram, and you hear what Colin Herta was saying to his crew the whole time in the end of that race. Now, from what the commentators were saying when we were there, it was Marcus Ericsson. He might not make it because of his fuel situation, but Colin Herta's team was telling him he's going to make it. So you just got to stay behind him and try your best. Colin Herta took that as I'm going to go balls to the wall and try to win this race, even though he really had no chance after his brakes got locked when Marcus Ericsson tried to cut off Ericsson and tried to get by Ericsson, and Ericsson made his brakes lock. That was impressive by Ericsson. The whole day was impressive by Ericsson. I mean, he goes flying early in the race and then he comes back and wins with like freaking 8 pit stops. It was fun to watch.
Well, what was really amazing is they said that he was off the ground for over 33 feet. All four wheels were off the ground when he actually went up over Sebastian Bourdais. So, for him to even finish the race was impressive, but for him to win the race was even more impressive. Just a really great example of, not giving up, having a great crew, working the pit stops, working the yellow flags, working the red flags. I mean, it was just a absolutely amazing accomplishment that he won that race. So, but Colton Herta pushed a little bit too hard at the end, and in the end of the day, he crashed. So, instead of sitting back for second, I mean, he wasn't getting second place. He was either going to win or crash, and he unfortunately crashed. So.
Now, what do you think? What do you think Michael's going back and telling him when he gets back into the pits after he's saying you're a dumbass? What do you think?
Well,
Is it a teaching moment? Michael was mad. You saw how Michael reacted when he crashed.
Yeah. Well, hey, when you're a team owner and you got a $500,000 car that's crashed into the wall and your crew's got to work their ass off to get it back ready to roll again. Yeah, it's tough. But, Michael Andretti's been there too. I mean, Michael Andretti grew up being, hey, I got to lead the race. I'm not sitting back. So, I think personality-wise, they're probably very similar, especially if you look at it, Michael in his younger years. So I think it is a teaching moment. Obviously, when you're the team owner and you've got a lot of dollars at stake, but I do think in the end of the day, Michael would have rather seen that car on the podium in second place for not only his money, but also for his sponsors than for him to crash in the wall with a couple laps to go. So that's just my opinion, but I guess we'll see, we'll see what happens. He's solid, he's solid for next year. So we don't have to worry about that.
Yeah. So. I mean, Andretti still had a good weekend. What they go 3, 4, 5 or 3, 4, 5, right? Or 3.
No, they went 3, 4, and I think 9 or 10.
Yeah, and they would have had 3 guys up there if Herta podium.
They probably would have gone 2, 4, 5.
Which is, I mean, still good. Yeah. Still good.
Yeah, they got a podium, and you know what? James Hinchcliffe, that was his first really good run of the year. Considering he was caught up in that early lap 5 accident. It was lap 5. Actually, it wasn't lap 5. It was like lap 10 when all they had to red flag the race. I mean, he got caught up in that, as did Ryan Hunter-Reay. So, for them to finish 3-4 was pretty impressive. It was Ryan Hunter-Reay's best finish of the year, also. So, overall, they had a good day, but they could have had a great day. That's what happened when you get a 21-year-old guy that's got a lead foot. So, anyway.
So Penske continued to struggle. That's another storyline we should talk about. When are they going to step up? When's Penske going to finally deliver something?
I don't know. Well, you got Will Power and starting second on the grid in Indy. He was the defending champion from last year's race there. So it could be a good day for them. The challenge is it was Will Power crashing his teammates out. last weekend. So, I mean, Newgarden kind of struggled. He was running, at one point during it, he was running second in the race. He worked his way up. I think he had a lot of pressure on him over the weekend, probably self-imposed pressure because it was his home Grand Prix and he wanted to do really well. He ended up finishing 10th, which was not bad, but I think Will Power, he crashed out Pagano. He crashed a little bit into Scott McLaughlin. So, I'm sure that the captain wasn't happy with Will Power's performance because he caused a couple accidents within his own team. So, I guess we'll see where that goes. But, Newgarden is starting 12th, I think, tomorrow or today, and he had a six position grid penalty for engine infraction, but you'll see. You'll see. I think Pagano will not do well. Pagano's got one foot out the door at this point on the team, so I think they're going to put their efforts into Newgarden and Power today.
Yeah. And the final thing I need to discuss from the Music City Grand Prix, it's kind of a two part thing. You were the mayor of Turn 11.
Hey, what can you do? Part of my job is to educate people that are interested in racing. So, it just happened to work out that we had, 6 drunks behind us that were really interested in it. And, they got my ear and I was able to educate them.
They knew about you from the previews.
Well, hey, who knows? We're still sitting in the stands with everybody else. So, it's not like we've got front row seats here in the press box yet. Hopefully that's going to come. But, at this point, I'll do my best just to educate some guys that now are interested in IndyCar because they went to the race. So
they subscribe to the Sports 2.0 network. We got them to subscribe. So anyways, though, the reason I bring up that you were the mayor of Turn 11 is because when we're talking to these guys, they were all about Romain Grosjean. Our whole section was about Romain Grosjean. I don't know what the craze is about him. It's all from Drive to Survive, the Netflix documentary on F1. But Grosjean, I mean, like he's the hottest driver in the sport right now. Like everyone loves Romain Grosjean.
He's hot for a couple of reasons. One, he's a good, he's having a great year considering this is his rookie year in IndyCar. Number two, there was a lot of interest because of Drive to Survive and the fact that he barely survived accident last year. And I think he surprised a lot of people. He is probably the hottest driver on the market. There's a lot of rumors going around where he's going to end up, whether he stays with Dale Coyne, whether he goes to Andretti, whether he goes to I've heard Arrow McLaren might be, he might be in a third car there. So there's a lot of opportunity, but he also ran strong. I mean, he started 5th last weekend. He was running up in 4th and 5th almost the entire first half of the race. He got the lead for 4 laps. I mean, there were only 3 people led that race that day, and if it wasn't for a late race pit stop situation, and I don't know exactly what happened with his car. I mean, I think he finished 15th, 16th, but he was running up in the pack most of the day. And now we set our sights to Indy, and he's very strong here on this track. So we'll talk about that in a second, though.
All right, so let's break down the point standings. Not much change from last weekend. Scott Dixon moved up from 3 to 2, just because Scott Dixon does what he always does, and he knew he couldn't win. He sat back and he podiumed, and he moved up in the point standings. So it's led by Palou leads right now, followed by Dixon, and then Pato O'Ward, who got the pole for today's race. Now, when are we going to say, okay, this is a 3-person race, a 5-person race? It's definitely not a 10-person race right now with a few races left in the season.
I think it's a 5-person race right now, and it's probably going to go down to 4 within 2 weeks. So, you'll see what happens after today, but I think you're going to see the champion out of those top 5 spots right now, and 3 of those 5 are Ganassi cars. One's a Penske car and one's an Arrow McLaren car. So, I think you're going to definitely see that. Palou strong. And you can't count any of the Ganassi teams out. I mean, Marcus Ericsson's had 2 wins. really kind of came back. You got Dixon that's in there, and Pelot's leading right now. So I think you'll see after this weekend, and then potentially the oval race that's coming up at Gateway. You'll know who you're winning. You know who your top 3, top 4 are going to be after that. So
is Grosjean in the oval? Is Grosjean going to race in the oval this year or no?
Grosjean's going to race in his first oval there
this year.
Yes, his first oval. But he's not really in a point standing. So
no, I just wanted to know.
He is. Yeah.
All right, so we had qualifying yesterday. Another poor day. That's the thing. I think that Joseph Newgarden's going to drop out because he just hasn't. I mean, he's finishing races. He's doing okay, but you need to win. Like at this point, for him to really get in the mix, he's got to get on some podiums. Has not been able to do that much this year. Only had one win. The only win for Team Penske, which just blows my mind. But we look at this. This was qualifying from yesterday, so they did the Firestone Fast 12. I believe that's because the track is just so much bigger, so you don't need to go 6.
Well, I'm not exactly sure why they made that decision, but it could have been just timing. I mean, they got a lot of races going on this weekend, and I think they did it late in the evening last night. So I'm sure they were trying to get that in before it got too dark out. But yeah, it's pretty exciting. I mean, Grosjean was in first place up until Pato's last lap, and then Will Power took second. But really, really strong. I mean, keep in mind, Roman had the pole in the spring race there and finished on the podium in second place. So he obviously likes this track. This track is basically a Formula One track. So I think he's very comfortable in that kind of a track. And another big surprise, obviously, is this rookie Christian Lundgaard. So to come in and he was actually leading in the top couple spots. And first time really in an IndyCar, it's kind of amazing. So I mean, he's in that third Rahal Letterman car. Santino Ferrucci's been driving the last 4 races.
So when we look at this, I think Grosjean, it's another reason we should be probably betting a little bit on Grosjean is because his family's going to see him race in Indianapolis for the first time. That's got to be special to him. I know it's probably going to be a little more special when he steps into the oval at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway next year for that. But it's still a big day for him. Like you said, he had the pole earlier this year. Lundgaard, I mean, that's phenomenal. But the fact of the matter is these Formula One guys, I mean, I know he's a backup driver, but they're still supposedly the best drivers in the world. So is that really a big deal to come in here and get fourth in your first qualifying when you're driving on a track that's similar to something you do every weekend against the best drivers in the world?
I think it means something for sure. I mean, he's only been in an IndyCar one other time. I mean, he's a Formula 2 driver. He's the backup driver for Alpine. Or their test driver. And he had a test at Barber Motorsports Park a couple weeks ago. The chassis manufacturer is the same chassis manufacturer he's driving in. I read an article last night saying that he was really, really comfortable in the car right out of the gate. So it is definitely surprising. But he went to bed last year. He finished like he said. His family's going to be blown away that he actually did that well. So I mean, for him to get in that car, and in fact, his 2 teammates, he blew away. Rahal and Sato, I mean, they're way down in the pack, and for him to come into a brand new car and do that well was just amazing. So, does it matter? I mean, Roman Grosjean's had a strong year. He was a mid-packer. I think he was a 9-time podium winner in Formula One, but he was, he had a lot of seasons in Formula One. I mean, those guys are the best drivers in the world. But consistently is a couple of the drivers that are in the IndyCar Series go over there and be strong. Absolutely, if you're a good driver, you're a good driver. So it just shows you that it is a destination, as I've been saying the last couple episodes. IndyCar is a destination. It's not a second-rate series anymore.
No, it's getting bigger too. You look at the TV statistics on NBC. I mean, last weekend on NBC Sports, the Music City Grand Prix was the most watched cable race of all time on NBC Sports. So that was pretty cool to see that we were actually there for it. Yeah. We look at Colton Herta. I mean, we got to talk about Colton Herta a little bit. Is he going to be able to bounce back, you think, after last weekend, or is he's going out there? I mean, he's not in the championship running anymore, so it's all about winning races, Tim. I don't think he cares to stand third or second on a podium. He wants to win. Is that
Yeah,
going to hurt him again?
no, I think so. I mean, I think, like I said, I think on Friday he had a little bit of a hangover initially, trying to get back into the car. He did hurt his hand, when he crashed. He had a little bit of a, injury in his hand. So, and that was a rough course anyway. So I think you'll see him be strong. I mean, the thing that's nice about IndyCar overall is there's 11, 12 people that can win that race at any time. I mean, there's a lot of parity amongst the drivers, and part of that is because of the cars, because they're running the same chassis and obviously different engine depending on the manufacturer, either Honda or Chevrolet. But there's a lot of drivers that can win, so there's a lot of popularity around that. And on the Formula One side, there's really, unless something drastically happens, you've got 2 or 3 people that can win a race, and everybody else is mid-pack fighting for a podium spot. So, I think that is one of the reasons why so many people are interested in IndyCar. So, Colton Herta could win, Grosjean could win, Power could win, O'Ward could win. I mean, Renus was the spring champion at this race. He could win a lot. As you saw last weekend, you crash in the first lap and you're not out, you potentially can win the race depending on how you work the yellow flags and your pit strategy. So I think that's what makes IndyCar so exciting. So
now I want to bring up Connor Daly, just because when we were in Indianapolis, it was clear that the people love Connor Daly. What has he done this year? He hasn't done much.
Well, he won. He was leading the Indy 500 for some laps. I mean, he's had a relatively strong run. I mean, he's up there. He's in the Ed Carpenter car as the second car running for he's running most of the road races because Ed Carpenter's only doing the ovals. But you got Ed Carpenter Racing, who is always strong in Indy, with Daly in 8 and Renus in 9. And he's a good driver, but is he Colton Herta good? I don't think so. I mean, but on the other hand, he has the opportunity to do well. I think the challenge with Connor is that he is, he's not going to be in one of those top teams. I mean, he's scraping it together. He's popular. He probably gets a lot of local support. But he's probably not on the top 10 list of Andretti or Ganassi or Penske. So he's relegated to the second, I'll say, second tier teams.
It was clear at the Indy 500, the people love Connor Daly.
Absolutely.
The
Hometown hero.
Fans,
I mean, his dad was from Ireland. He came over, he raced a little bit, got to be an announcer, grew up in Indianapolis, and he is the hometown hero. So, hey, all these guys are good drivers. You wouldn't be in this series if you weren't good. You can't just get here. So,
yeah, I mean, that's the truth. So we're going to save the Pato talk for right now. We didn't really talk about him much when we were doing the qualifying order, but Pato at plus 325 today. You got the Arrow McLaren SP shirt on.
I do.
Yeah, I mean, show the camera. I can't even see it. Yeah, show the camera. Come on, there it is.
All right.
You got Pato. I mean, so it seems like you're repping Pato today. Is he your pick?
I'm kind of hoping for Grosjean. I want to see Grosjean take a win. Very worst case, get on a podium. But yeah, I like Pato. I mean, you look at these guys. I mean, you got Pato, Palou, VK in the top, and Ericsson. So you got some young guys in there. I mean, I think you got a really good. This race is going to be exciting. So because you get a little bit of the oval, you get a little bit of the road course, and I think there's an opportunity. I mean, Pato can win races. He didn't have a great weekend last weekend. He obviously dropped a spot in the standings, but he is one of the favorites at this point, no doubt, not only to win the race but to win a championship. So
do you see Grosjean on here? O'Ward, Power, Palou, Herta, VK, Harvey, Rossi, Ericsson, Rahal, Lundgaard, Dixon, Pagano, Newgarden, Daly, McLaughlin, Rosenquist, Bourdais, Hunter Ray, Sato, Castroneves, Hinchcliffe, Jones, Johnson, RC, Enerson, Cody Ware. So they don't have Grosjean listed yet.
Yeah,
they're probably trying to figure out what his odds are going to be, because he is a favorite. You look at You look at where he's going to start. He loves Indianapolis. His family's watching him in Indianapolis this weekend. That's got to be some reason to sway the odds, just because his family's there. I mean, last weekend the storyline was, oh, my family saw me lead a couple laps. How cool is that?
Yeah.
So I mean, I'd like a little money on Grosjean. Colton Hurd at plus 750, I think is good if he can shake off last weekend. I mean, that's the question there with him. He's a young guy, so who knows if he'll be able to bounce back. And I think if Colton Hurd is in a situation like he was in last weekend, he's still going to try to push to win.
Absolutely.
I mean, he's not sitting back for a second place podium. So that's another good reason why you should bet Colton Herta, because he's not there to finish in second place. He's there to win races.
Right.
Marcus Ericsson, let's talk about him at plus 2,000. Pretty heavy underdog. And I'm not that high on Marcus Ericsson. I think a lot of people are like that. I think he wins races because he just kind of hangs in there. I don't think he's the best driver in the world, in my opinion. But what do you think about Ericsson?
Well, he surprised me last weekend. I mean, he's got 2 wins under his belt this year, which were the first 2 wins he's had since he was in the U.S. But you really can't count him out. He's in a top-notch team. Obviously, he's got a lot of confidence coming off of the win last week. But 2,000, I mean, it's a good bet. Put a little money on him. I mean, he definitely has an opportunity to win the race. But I think it's going to come out of the first 6 or 7 guys, up there. I mean, you got Power, who is defending champion. He needs to prove something. He had a good run. Palou is trying to get points. I think the big surprise for this particular race is how far Dixon's down the starting grid. I mean, I think he's starting 26. So that's going to be tough for him to make up, unless he does something kind of crazy on pit strategy. So.
I think the thing about Dixon is he's just going to sit back and just wait. As long as he can stay out of the trash he's going to be in dirty air. But I mean, if he gets into clean air a little bit, I mean, a top 10 finish for Dixon is reasonable starting in 26, considering he just finishes races.
Absolutely. And he's going for points at this point.
Yeah, it's not about winning races, it's about winning the series for him. Right, so I mean, if he just needs to finish, he's not, because realistically, he's racing against Pato, he's racing against Renus, he's racing against Palou, he's racing against Ericsson, and he's racing against Joseph Newgarden. And that's it. That's all he cares about. So as long as he can hunt them down, and on the radio, that's what they're talking about as well. It's, where are these guys on the track right now? We need to get ahead of them.
Right.
So, all right. So we'll keep going through here. I want to talk about Jimmy Johnson. Jimmy Johnson had probably his best qualifying of the year. I mean, I was watching qualifying yesterday, and I look up, I'm on my computer writing, and I look up and I see Jimmy Johnson's in 4th in Group 2, I believe it was, at one point. I mean, obviously it didn't last because everyone waited till the end to turn the jets on, and he couldn't do it. But Jimmy Johnson had probably the worst weekend that a driver could. He didn't even get to drive his own car because he wrecked so many last weekend.
Yeah, no, he had a rough weekend in Nashville. So, it's good. He's got good sponsorship, but I got to imagine Ganassi's getting a little bit concerned, whether this was a good move or not. I mean, money's one thing, but Jimmy Johnson's cost them a lot of money this year. I mean, he crashed every time he was in the car. And then he ended up driving Alex Palou's backup car because he crashed in the morning warm-up before the race. But it was surprising to see him do as well. Now, keep in mind, RC Anderson's only had a couple races. Cody Ware has only had a couple races. So, he's still, even though he's in 22nd in the starting grid, and there's 28 cars in this, which is actually the second most amount of cars starting a race since the Indy 500. One of the interesting things about that is, Jimmy is an accomplished race car driver. He just really struggles in these open wheel cars. I mean,
he wasn't meant for him. How many Indy or NASCAR series has he won?
7, I think.
Okay, but he can't
be more. Yeah,
we were taught. Go ahead.
I think he's won it. I think he won 7 championships. So, which is amazing feat. But like I said, I mean, he had nothing else to prove. But at this point, he's got to actually get through a race without crashing a car. I think I'm not positive, but I think he's spun out in every race. You know, he's caused a yellow flag almost in every race this year. So
now a $1 bet, just a $1 bet on Jimmy Johnson would win you $500. A $100 bet would win you $50,000. 50,000. That's how much Jimmy Johnson is disrespected by PointsBet Sportsbook. That if you put $100 on a 7-time whatever NASCAR champion to win an IndyCar race, you're going to win $50,000.
Yeah, well, I told you last week, save your money.
Well,
because he's not winning races.
Well, you were talking, the Meriturn 11 was talking to the people behind us, and you were saying that they were like, oh, we should have put money on Jimmy Johnson. Because Jimmy Johnson, there are more Jimmy Johnson jerseys there than any other driver.
Yeah, well, he's a marketing machine. I mean, Carvana and everything else. You saw the exhibit.
Yeah, they were giving away mini Jimmy Johnson cars.
Yeah, it's amazing. But it's definitely, it was a marketing ploy. But as far as driving, I would be surprised, unless he's got a multi-year deal, which I don't know. He may not be back next year. So I mean, this experiment I don't think's worked out that well.
Yeah. All right. So let's look here at the prop bets. Just something fun, real quick. Race winner car number, over 10.5 or under 10.5. What do you think?
I think I think under.
Under
10.5.
Under 10. So who's going to win? You think this is the car number, not where they're starting.
I know. Well, Pelot's number 10.
What you want Romain Grosjean to win though?
Yeah, he's number 51. So hey, I don't know. I mean, these are tough. These are tough.
You're not about the props on PointsBet.
Not about the prop. Well, the only prop I'd be about is Jimmy Johnson going to crash.
That'd be a good prop. We talked about that last weekend.
Yeah.
All right, race winner car number, odd or even? I was 2 for 4 on these last weekend.
Yeah, well, I think I'm going to take an even number.
Even? Okay, I'll go odd because I think Grosjean could do something this weekend. And then winning manufacturer, Honda or Chevrolet?
I think Honda.
Okay,
I think Honda wins. You got Honda in the top. Well, 7 out of the top 12 cars are Hondas. You got a couple Chevys with power, but I think a Honda wins this race. Either because Ganassi, Andretti, and Coyne are all running Hondas, and Pato's running a Chevy, but yeah, I think you're going to see. I think you're going to see a Honda win this race.
All right, final question: Who's your podium?
Podium.
Yeah, no, it doesn't have. You have to pick someone to win, then just pick 2 other drivers.
I think you're going to see Pelot, Pato, and Grosjean.
All right, who wins out of that group?
I think Pelot wins.
All right, I'm gonna say Romain Grosjean wins. I think Lundgaard gets on the podium, and I think Pato is also on the podium. So I'm gonna take a risk. Pato, Lundgaard, Grosjean to win. If there's any race Grosjean's gonna win, it's gonna be today.
It is. I'd like to see him win. But I think Pelot's got more at stake from a championship standpoint. He's starting a little bit back today, but there's opportunities for this track. I think Lundgaard does not finish.
You think he pushes?
Well, no, I think he finishes. I just don't think he's going to be in the top 3. Rookie mistakes. His first race against these guys. New track. It's one thing actually going around track fast qualifying, but when you're actually in race conditions, it's going to be a little different. So I don't see Lundgaard. I could be eating my words, but.
Do you think that was a stupid pick by me?
No, I mean, take a risk. So I like Pelot. I think Pelot. Yeah, you never know. Renus, starting back a little bit, but I think he's in 9th starting position.
Yeah.
Spring champion. There's a good shot there too. This is going to be an exciting race. So tune in today.
12:30. Green flag waving at 12:30. Probably a little after, probably like 12:45, but the TV coverage starts at 12:30. PointsBet Sportsbook. If you're in Indiana today, bet it on PointsBet. Use our promo code SPORTS20 for a deposit match up to $250. So if you put $100 on Jimmy Johnson, you will get $100 back in free money that you can play with because you're probably throwing money away with Jimmy Johnson. But they will let you. Actually, you probably can't bet the promo on Jimmy Johnson because I bet there's some odds requirements. There's no way they would let you bet on plus 50,000 just in case it hit, but possibly. I don't know that for a fact. But use promo code sports20 for a $250 deposit match. Now, who is PointsBet Sportsbook taking this weekend? Who is their pick?
Their pick?
Yeah, didn't you saw it on Twitter, right?
Was it Pato? No, it was below.
It was below. Yeah, it was
below. Yeah. So I'm going with what PointsBet's saying.
All right. Are you a PointsBet ambassador?
No, not today. But they are important in this race. NBC Sports and Indiana. So,
and they have a relationship with the Sports 2.0 network too.
That's
Can't
true.
forget that.
True. Yeah, but no, I like Pelot. I would have gone with Pelot. I don't really care what PointsBet actually says. So.
You can't say that. You can't say that on the show. PointsBet funds the show. You can't say that. All right, so that was our Big Machine Spiked Coolers Big Machine Spike Coolers Grand Prix. Big Machine sponsoring back-to-back race weekends. That's pretty impressive.
Well, last week it was Big Machine Spiked Vodka.
Now it's Spike Coolers.
Big Machine Vodka, and now it's Spike Coolers. Yeah,
but it's their product.
It's still Big Machine.
Still Big Machine. They're the presenting sponsor, right?
They are.
So that does it, guys. Make sure you subscribe to the Sports 2.0 Network. We'll be watching at 12:30. Follow along. You'll have a recap post up on New Sports Tonight from me. So make sure you check that out as well, guys. That does it for the Sports 2.0 show. Big Machine, Spike Coolers, Grand Prix. Any final thoughts from the best IndyCar commentator in the game?
Not commentator, color commentator.
You're not play-by-play. I think you could do play-by-play.
Well, I'm a little. I'm not play-by-play. You're more play-by-play. I'm more color. You know.
You saying I don't know? Are you saying I don't know my stuff?
No, you're actually done really well. You've come from 0 to 180 very quickly.
You can't say that on the show.
Well, knowing that you went to your first race at Indianapolis, you've done amazing. So keep up the good work.
I'm an analyst.
You're an analyst. I'm a color commentator. So, but anyway, I think it's going to be an exciting race. We're getting down. I think there's only 6 races left of the year, and it's coming fast and furious. So it should be exciting. Ovals are next, but we'll see what happens today.
Yeah, there you go.
Tune in.
12:30 NBC Sports for one of the best races of the year at the house that Roger Penske built. We're calling it that now because he's revamped it. He revamped it. He made it a lot nicer.
Well,
that's what they said on the tour.
It's hallowed ground. It's hallowed racing ground.
Hallowed racing ground. It's a spectacle when you walk in there. Cannot wait to return. That does it for our show today. Hope everyone has a great Saturday. Watch the race today, and we'll talk to you soon for another episode.